Good morning, everyone. We're going to get started in 2 minutes. Morning, everyone, and welcome to this month's webinar. We've sort of labeled this the 12 Steps to Retail Success, and we all know that there's probably a whole lot more than 12 steps, but we're going to cover off the 12 key steps that we believe every retailer needs to climb to take themselves to that next level of success. And we're going to share with you some statistics or some stats or some actions that other retailers are taking along the way. And so as we get rolling, I'll give you a little bit of background on Canadian Retail Solutions. If you're not familiar, for about 26 years, we've provided comprehensive retail software, inventory planning, and open-to-buy and management solutions that empower our retailers in Canada and around the world. At our core, we believe in having these real and relevant relationships with our retailers. We offer solution-based, sales and services, and we maintain a client-centered bottom-line focus. And truly, when someone asks me, why, I tell them we exist to make retailers better. And so who we are. So Scott Smith has joined us this morning, and for about 30 years, Scott has seen his lifelong passion come to life. He has spent his entire life on sales floors and management, and marketing and operations and merchandising and training and technology with retailers across North America. And so today, Scott is one of our coaches here at Canadian Retail Solutions, one of our retail business coaches, and works with retailers across North America, grew up in outdoor, and is a remarkable coach with our team. And Scott will jump in this morning from time to time to keep us on track, because I tend to be a little bit long-winded.
And then there's Dan Holman. Thanks, Dan, for that introduction as well. And mate, I just for those of you that haven't met Dan or experienced him at CRS, the thing that I love most about Dan is that his true focus and passion is service above self. It's something that he's taught me over the years, and even today, this example of the webinar is something that we come to you with a single desire to educate and help you with your business. And hopefully, if you just take away one or two things from Dan's wisdom, you'll really benefit from that. But having spent 25 plus years in the business, Dan has literally seen it all. He's seen it all. He's done it all. And I say that with complete honesty. Like, the guy, I learn from him every single day that I work with Dan. He's an incredible mentor, incredible coach. And what I love as well in terms of Canadian Retail Solutions is that he is predominantly and at a base and core level a retailer. He loves and is passionate about independent retail, just like yourselves, as that's what he's born and raised in. Thanks, Dan.
Thanks, Scott. So we're going to walk through this 12 steps, and I make this not so literal joke every time I do this presentation. We called it the 12 steps for a reason. When we decided to dive into retail, we clearly needed a program, very much like a 12-step program. So for us, step one is always going to be a foundation. And for us, even at Canadian Retail Solutions, we start with a foundation of core values, and we believe our core values are wealth. And so we start with this acronym that wealth represents. And we say winning. W is for winning. We create these win, win, win environments. Win, win, win. A win for the customer, a win for the vendor, and a win for the store. And in everything we do, we practice this philosophy of win, win, win. We believe that we have to be energized, that every moment we spend on our sales floor, on our business, in our business, it's done with an energy or a passion that drives us forward. We have to be admired by our peers, admired by our clients, admired by our staff. We have to be world famous. We have to be lean. If I was standing in front of you, I'd make some kind of a weight joke. I don't mean lean in weight. I mean lean in expense, lean in presentation, lean in inventory, lean giving us the ability to be nimble, to move and adapt to the changing climate that independent retail is. We have to be tenacious. We treat setbacks as anomalies. We pick ourselves up and we continue to charge towards our vision. And then, of course, happy. We recognize that happiness is a place we need to be all the time. It is what will lead us to success. And so we practice this philosophy of retail wealth in our business all the time. And very much like you, I am in business. We are retailers at our core. Every one of the coaches here at Canadian Retail Solutions is a retailer, and they buy wholeheartedly into this core value of wealth, of retail wealth, and being, creating winning environments, energized and admired. We're lean, we adapt, we move, and we pick ourselves up and we keep charging forward. And we know that happiness comes ahead of success. And so that's retail wealth. And so we start by building or surrounding ourselves with people that believe in this foundation. And so when we go to step 2, we start to build this team, and we hire based on your core values. So Scott spoke about one of my core values, service above self, putting our clients' needs, and not just our clients, but in our everyday life, putting another's needs ahead of our own. And when we do this in retail, when we see things through our client's eyes, our vendor's eyes, we see things differently. And so, me having a service above self core value allows me to make decisions based on what I believe is beneficial to everyone, not just to me. And so I would charge you with coming up with your 3 to 5 core values. And we hire people based on their values, not based on their skill or experience. Now, why do I say that? Skill and experience are things that we teach and learn. Values are something that's inherent. It's how we present ourselves. It's how we work. When you hire someone that believes wholeheartedly in service above self, they're always going to do what's best for the client, which in retail will lead to success. If they embrace change, if they're happy, that's the kind of person that you surround yourself in your store. And so we always hire based on these core values rather than skill and experience. The person that's personality is made up of the right values can learn and do anything.
Dan, it was really incredible. I've just noticed that it was incredible in the retail businesses that I ran when we changed the way we hired to focus on those core values. It really made it so much easier for us to be able to drill into the people that we wanted to work with. It was just it wasn't only something that made us more successful. It was something that it made the job easier, because it's such a tough grind when going through and working through staff. And dealing with kind of, people moving on and hiring and training. When we had those core values in place, it was like all of a sudden we saw the longevity of our staff kind of extend and just become way more of a positive thing.
Right. And when it comes time to evaluate employees, if we first evaluate based on their core values, we'll understand if they're the right person in the right place. The wrong the person with the wrong core values needs to be maneuvered in the organization. I mean, if they're the wrong core values, there's just no seat on our bus for them. But if they have the right core values, they're the right person, we find the place that they belong. And when I say to retailers, okay, you're having a challenge with Sophie, let's talk about her. Tell me what her core values are. Does she believe the same thing that you believe? And if the answer is no, then it doesn't matter what training or what coaching we give her. If she doesn't believe the way that we believe, she's not the right person in the organization. And so while we're building our team, we're looking at their values. The next thing that we're going to do when we're building a winning team is we're going to be good parents. Good parents have a small handful set of rules and repeat themselves often. A small handful set of rules, and we repeat ourselves often. We don't mind saying, greeting, 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 greeting. It's not how many times have I told you not to do this. It's how many more times will I say it? How many more times do I need to say it? I repeat myself often. And if you've ever been around me, I sound like a broken record. I repeat myself over and over and over again. But that's how we build our values into people. We talk openly about it. We are also great coaches. Coaches are in the game. They teach people from a place of system, from strategy. We coach people. We don't manage them. We manage process. We lead people. We lead people with really good coaching. Hey, the next time this happens, let's try this. Or the pat on the back that people require. And so I always say your job is to inspire, encourage, and incentivize your team. Inspire them, lead them, share your vision with them, encourage them to follow their vision, their path, and incentivize them to do the right things. Lastly, share your vision. If you want to build a great team, you have to share your vision. And it can be your 1 year, it can be your 3 year, or it can be your BHAG, that big, hairy, audacious goal that's 10 years out. But if you don't share your vision, people don't know why they're doing what they're doing. So share your vision openly.
Dan, one of the things I think that all of this put together in building this team, and underlyingly, I think that as a great coach and with inspiration and encouragement and with vision comes trust. And I think I've really found with a lot of successful team builders, they inherently trust their people because they have hired based on core values. They know that deep down that this person is the right person in that right seat, like you've talked about, and they allow them to fail. They allow them to get up. They allow them to build on their own experiences with the fact that they trust them.
Yeah, really good point. Really good. And I should have mentioned earlier, if you have questions, there's a great little question section below. We'll keep an eye on that chat box and answer any questions that come up along the way. We will make absolute certain that you get a copy of this presentation that you can use, that you can refer back to. And if you have any other questions, you can always email planning, or there's a phone number in the upper, I have to look at my hand, the upper right-hand corner of the screen. So step one is really building a foundation. Step two is building a winning team. Step three is recognizing that customer experience is everything. Mm-hmm. And so we have to create a comfortable space, in our stores. So what I mean by comfortable space is that there's room for people to relax, to let their breath out, that it's not crammed with merchandise, that it's hard to shop. We want the stores to be comfortable, that the environment is comfortable, that it's welcoming, that there's room for people to maneuver, that they can bring a stroller in if they have to, that we recognize that this customer experience is everything. I need to make it as welcoming as I possibly can. Know your repeat customers. I've said this over and over and over and over again to retailers. You need to know your top 10. And that top 10 may be 25 in your store, it may be 50, but you got to know who your repeat customers are. And you need to know them by name. And if you're not in the store on a regular basis, you should be familiar with them by name, by their name. And coach your staff. when Sally comes in the store, if I'm here, please take a moment to introduce me. You need to know your repeat customers. Create a loyalty program that's meaningful, that rewards loyalty, return visits, not something that's a bait and switch, not something that's discount driven. Create something that is rewarding, that allows customers to recognize their value. Now, if Bob Negan was coming out of me today, if I was pulling out my inner Bob Negan from Whizbang, I'd say understand the lifetime value of your customer. Create a program around your customer's lifetime value, not their transactional value. Their relational value is far more important to you than any transaction. And there are a host of great loyalty programs out there that are inexpensive. In fact, there are manual loyalty programs that are cost less. They don't cost anything but time. And people call me on a regular basis. I have a large retailer that says, Dan, I need a loyalty program. And I said, well, how many repeat customers do you have? A lot. Okay, great. A lot's not a number. How many is it? Let's talk about what that means. Why do we want to go and buy something that's $200 a month if we're really talking about managing a list of 25 customers? Let's manage the 25 first. Let's figure out how to build something that's meaningful and then move forward with some level of automation. Right? Automated loyalty programs are not always the answer. It's the building of the program. I'll tell you that Holt Renfrew probably has one of the most widely recognized, rewarding loyalty programs in Canada today. Holt Renfrew's whole philosophy is based on annual spending. And when you reach these plateaus from silver to gold to diamond to platinum, et cetera, maybe it's platinum then diamond, the rewards continue to add on. Things like free dry cleaning, things that you don't necessarily think of. So create a loyalty program that's meaningful for your customer. Always see your store through your customer's eyes, not yours. I tell this to everyone. Weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, you need to stand at the front of your stores with your eyes closed and open them and see what your customer is seeing. See how things are presented. Is it comfortable? Is it loud? Is it too quiet? Is it crowded? Is it spacious? Is there a defined traffic pattern in my store? See it through your customer's eyes. See what they see, the stained ceiling tile, the mark on the wall, the things that they notice. See it through your customer's eyes.
It's such a powerful point, Dan, and I think that what it speaks to, that I know you'll speak about later as well, is that to see something through your customer's eyes, you've got to understand who your customer is. And I think that when you, by getting in front of them, by creating these loyalty programs and by encouraging and knowing that repeat customer, what you're doing is you're basically getting into the identity of who these people are and seeing your store through their eyes, as you say. Then you can actually make decisions that are based on them. I love the boutiques that we deal with, Dan, that speak about their girls or their guys or their ladies. And first of all, when you hear them, you think that they're talking about their staff, but they're not. They're talking about their ladies or their guys in terms of the people that shop in the store, because they feel and know them intimately.
Right. Absolutely. And we'll get to recognize that when we look to examine who she or he is, 6 out of 10 customers that walk through the door could be the same person. It's the same geo-demo psychographic that's walking through the front door. And knowing that and knowing your customer allows you to create a better experience for them. And thank you. You can never say thank you enough. We need to recognize that sometimes customers just need to be thanked. And I was in a store yesterday. It was not a great experience. I mean, I bought something, so it was good enough that I bought something. But after the purchase, she threw out a policy sheet. And I thought to myself, man, if one of my retailers ever slapped down a policy, a document that I had to sign, I'd probably fall off the deep end. Instead of saying thank you, she's like, there's one more thing. I've got this policy. We bought this mattress, but I bought a mattress, and so I got all these rules about, I couldn't try to return it within the 4 weeks, and because I wasn't using a mattress pad, it couldn't be longer than 9 weeks or what. I just said to her, yeah, I'm okay. I'm not good with policies. I said, we're done. I'd already made the purchase, and then she slapped this out. Instead of saying, thank you for the $5,000 sale that just walked through the door. We're not your atypical buy. We walked in the door and bought a mattress and a frame and all that other stuff that goes with it. Instead of saying thank you, she created a bit of friction with the policy deal. And I understand why they have it and the delivery and all that other crap, but all she needed to say was thank you. And so thank you. You can never thank your customer enough. Thank them for coming in, thank them for sharing, thank them for buying, thank them for coming back. And when they don't buy from you, thank them for coming in. We need ambassadors. And that leads us to sort of step 4. We have to create and maintain a selling system in our store. And if I believe wholeheartedly that systems define outcomes. When this happens, I do this, and then this is what happens next. A system, an equal and specified level of service in my store. I walk through the 5 steps to our successful sale, and we believe that it's customer driven. And those 5 steps, greeting and engaging clients, understanding their needs, presenting solutions to the pre-described needs, total solutions to those needs, handle their objections, and close sales. And walking through those 5 steps, greeting and engaging, needs analysis, presenting total solutions, handling their objections, and closing sales. When I systematically move through that process, I drive sales. I don't do it with non-negotiable add-ons. I do it from a total solution basis. How many people leave their house without looking at themselves in the mirror, giving yourself the nod? You've got your jewelry on, you've got me, I've got my pants on. We give ourselves that nod that we're put together, that we're ready. And when they walk into your apparel store, you need to make sure that you're satisfying their outfit. And whether you are a ladies apparel store, a gear store, a lingerie store, a bra store, there are total solutions that people need from you. And if you can look at your business from a total solution perspective, you will drive average sale up. If you allow the system to define the outcome, you will drive sales up.
Mm.
You get
Dan,
yeah.
Sorry to jump in, mate, but I just want to kind of reiterate what you said there too. But because when we talk about a system and we talk about equal and specified, one of the things that we all struggle with as retailers is that, it only takes one staff member to ruin the experience of what we've worked so hard to do as a group. And when you create these systems, when you create a successful and you teach and mentor in a stepped program, you bring the average up of the group. So you no longer dangle in that area of dissatisfaction with the client because you've got a specified level. You're only as good as your weakest link. And these systems really build that so that link is above grade as against below.
Yeah, for sure. And so those 5 steps again, I combine them a little bit. So greeting and engaging is step 1. I greet my customers and I move to engage them. So an effective greeting in a store is not, hello, can I help you? It's in fact the most ineffective greeting. A greeting is, hello, welcome, what's your mission today? What brings you in today? Are you shopping for yourself or for someone else? That question that leads to conversation. So greeting and engaging. Understanding their needs. What is it that they're looking for? Presenting total solutions to those needs. Handling objections, size, price, fit, color. Fit is an objection that you have to be able to overcome. And then closing the sale and using a mechanism, some verbiage, some language that closes a sale. I say to everyone, you have to get to yes in every step of the process. In every step of the selling system, you get to yes. And so what's a yes in a greeting? When someone greets you back, they're open to conversation. When you say to someone, what's your mission? Nothing, I'm just looking. Right. They may be looking for you and your help. But we typically disengage from people when they say, I'm just looking, rather than follow that up with, oh, that's so fantastic. I love when people come in and look, there's a ton of new things to see. My name is Dan, and you are? Sophie. Thank you so much for coming in today. Enjoy your browse. Do you mind if I check back with you later? I'm trying to get to yes. I want her to give me permission to re-engage her. Oh, Sophie, that's new this week. What do you think of it? You know, I'm not going to say this is where the sales section is in my store. I don't know that she's looking for sale merchandise. In fact, this is a good statistic that everyone needs to know. 50% of customers that walk through your front door will not buy something on markdown, will not buy something on sale. 50% of customers. This is a statistic that came out of a Retail Council of Canada study. 50% of customers will not buy on sale because they think there's something wrong with it. And in our world, there is something wrong. We overbought. We either overbought, we bought, careful, ugly, you know, it was a bad buy, right? Or we bought too much. It's end of season. Now we're marking it down. And so people will shy away from things that are on sale. And so don't make the mistake of telling people what's on sale in your store if that's not what they're looking for. And depending on your type of store, you can gear questions that engage people. You know, are you shopping for yourself or someone else? For myself, great. Tell me what you're looking for. Tell me what's going to excite you today. Oh, I'm shopping for, you know, my son. Tell me about him. It allows us to create conversation. And through the conversation, we start to go through their needs, their objectives. We analyze what it is they're telling us so that we can present a total solution to that need. Create ambassadors in your store, not sales. Focus on creating ambassadors, and consequentially, sales will come. Ambassadors, people that leave your store and rave about the experience. The selling system allows them to do that. Everybody gets engaged. You know, I'll tell you a quick story about greeting and exit greeting. You know, and I think I've shared this with lots of people over the years. But when I first moved to Alberta in 2007, I'd never been to Banff. So Marlene and I, my wife and I, went to Banff. And it felt very dismissive walking up Banff Avenue in and out of the stores. Like nobody really recognized you were there. And so we played this game, or we had this little bet. You know, we're going to keep going in and out of stores. And the first store that exit greets us, we're going to buy something. But we're not going to buy anything until that happens. And so we went, I'm going to say it's north, but I could be wrong on my direction. We went up one side of Banff Avenue and about a third of the way down before someone finally said, thanks for coming in today. I hope you guys have a great afternoon. I mean, literally 100 stores, and maybe it was more than 100, maybe it's less, but 100. I mean, all the way up Banff Avenue before someone finally said, thanks for coming in today. I hope you guys have a great afternoon. No one was worried about creating an ambassador. It was transactional. And yeah, it's a tourist area. Absolutely, totally get that. But why does that change your strategy? If your goal is to create ambassadors of every client or every guest that walks in your door, are you not going to feel the sales success of that? I can tell you the store that we were in did feel some success. Sadly, it was a jewelry store, not a scotch or cigar store. But Marlene got a watch or something. I can't remember now. But we bought something in that store. We turned around and went back and bought something because that was the deal that we made each other. We're going to do this. We're going to figure this out. You know, which stores really get it and which ones don't. And it was the selling system. You know, that exit greeting is a system. It's part of the system. You know, someone's leaving my store. Systems define outcomes. Okay, when someone leaves our store, our system says, go and exit greet them. Right? What's the outcome? They feel welcomed. They feel the gratitude. right? They feel appreciated when you acknowledge them leaving, even when they don't buy. Okay, sales volume is a consequence. Sales volume is a consequence of three things. There are three drivers in your volume. Traffic. You should be counting your traffic. How many people walk through your front door every day? And have the ability to compare that to yesterday, last week, last month, last Thursday, a year ago. You know, how is traffic, foot traffic, changing? Count your traffic. Customer engagement or closing ratio or conversion ratio. How many people are buying something of the number that walk in? And thirdly, average sale. How much are they spending? And so lots of stores count UPTs, units per transaction. You know, I'm simply looking at average sale. And so, you know, I do this math really quickly. I have 10 people through my door. I close half of them, and my average sale is $100. I'm going to do $500 in sales today. 100 people walk through the door. I'm going to close half of them. I'm going to sell each of that half $100. That's 5 people's 5 sales. It's $500. That's my volume. That's how much I'm going to sell. Now, if I want to improve that, if I want to improve my sales volume, which things do I have to work on? You know, well, if I drive more traffic, I'll increase my sales. If I'm better at converting customers or engaging customers, I'll increase my sale. If I sell them total solutions, I'll increase my sales. People will often say to me, you know, my sales are down 20%. I'm like, well, it's okay. Volume's a consequence. Why is it down? You know, why is sales down? I don't, there's not enough customers. It's very slow in the store. How many customers did you have? I don't know. It's very slow. Well, slow is not an answer. Slow is a relative term. What do you normally have 10 and now you have 2? Okay, that's slow. But tell me the 2, not the 10 or not the slow. Right?
Dan, I love how you when you put this together, because to me it's a very hopeful way of and very real way of looking at what the business of retail is all about. You know, traffic, customer engagement, and average sales are all actionable points. They're all things that we can do something about, that we can work on, whether it be marketing, whether it be training, whether it be kind of focusing and motivating our team. They're all things that are measurable, but not only measurable, actionable. They're funny, you know. When I look at your presentation and I look at customer engagement equals closing ratio, immediately it gets me in the mode of saying, well, you know what, I can be challenged to be a better engager of my customers. You know, I always my daughter works in one of the retail stores that I grew up in as well, and she's 16, and I always bug her every morning as she walks out of the door, because I always say, look, make a friend, sell a friend, make a friend today. Customer engagement, like, there are things you can actually do.
Right. And so good point. What a good point. You know, when we teach a selling system, we talk about friends shopping together. Getting people to see you as a person, not a salesperson, comes from a place of being real with them, of connecting with them on a human level, not on a sales level, not on a robotic level. Be straight, be real, make a friend, sell a friend. And so when you can look at your business this way, when you can look at your sales this way, I can tell you, you can tell yourself, how do I improve by 10%? How do I move my sales from $1,000 today to $1,100? Well, sell the 5 people I sold $20 more. Okay, that accomplishes my goal. Sell 1 more person in a day. That accomplishes my goal. Get 2 more people to come to my store today. Well, that does it as well. I mean, if you want to move sales, focus on one of 3 things. And I'll tell you this. In every example, I ask people all the time, tell me what's broken. Is it people? Is it product? Is it price? People. In the front door, traffic. Inside, internal, right? Sales training, i.e. staff. Is it engagement? Or is it the products that I'm selling? Am I not selling the right product to them? Am I not priced effectively, right? You know, we tell people it's product, price, and placement to get things to move inside a store. But when you're talking about sales volume, we start with people. Is it the external customer or the internal one that needs improvement? You pick one. You get to be this judgmental person and say, damn it, it's the external customer. The wrong people are coming to my store. Lookers are coming to my store. All right, let's change them from lookers to buyers. How do we do that? What steps do we need to take? Drive more repeat customers. How do I drive more repeat customers? Have bounce back certificates for them. Have bounce back loyalty rewards. Give them ambassador cards. Here's $10 for you to give to your best friend, Sally. Next time she comes in, she gets a $10 gift, and I'm going to give you one too. Drive people back to your store that want to buy. Take some action to improve the quality of traffic. Take some action to improve the customer engagement in your store. Teach your people, coach your people how to be good greeters, how to say the right things to people, how to look people in the eye. Create rules in your store. We have a 10-4 policy. Within 10 feet, people get a physical acknowledgement, a nod, a smile, not a wink, that's a little weird, but a physical acknowledgement. And within 4 feet, they absolutely get a verbal greeting. Hello and welcome. Thank you for coming in. If you want to improve your sales, focus on customer engagement and then focus on total solutions. Don't sell a bra without underwear. Don't sell shoes without socks. Don't sell pants without belts. Don't sell tops without an underpinning. I mean, we can go on and on and on. And you know yourself when you get dressed in the morning, all of the things that you put on. Whether you're going to the mountain skiing, you're going to a cocktail party, or you're going to the office. Everything you put on is part of a total solution. And if you can think that way, sales volume will increase as a consequence. Okay, I think I beat total solutions up. Number 6 is classify inventory. Understand the way customers truly shop. And I upset people all the time when I say customers don't care about brands. They don't care about vendors. They're buying from you. You're the one they care about. Yes, they maybe came in for a Patagonia jacket or a Bailey 44 or BB Dakota or, an autumn cashmere sweater. Maybe that's what they came in looking for. Maybe. It's few and far between. Understand how they shop. They shop by class. I need a dress. I need a new outfit. I need a pair of boots, et cetera, et cetera. Work with an inventory planner or POS provider. I mean, the POS guys should be doing this to carefully develop a class structure that allows us to silo the business, to break it down into classifications that customers respond to. They respond with buying or not. But if the classification is built appropriately, class, i.e., merchandise that sells on a similar sales curve, T-shirts, cut and sew, footwear, boots, shoes, technical jackets, etc. And make sure that your point of sale system will at least classify by department, class, and subclass. Department might be men's, women's, gear, equipment. A class in an apparel store, tops. A subclass might be T-shirts. Or the subclass, the class might be tank tops. And a subclass might be color, might be price, might be style. But make sure that when you analyze how your inventory is performing, that you can at least break it down by department, class, and subclass. And in some stores, the store is the department. Don't get me wrong. In some stores, bras is a department in a lingerie store, in a bra store. Bras is the department. And there are 10 different ways to break down how women buy bras. And they become our classes or our subclasses. In ladies apparel, ladies is not really our department. Our department may be tops, bottoms, footwear, and accessories. And we break down from there. And work with anyone. And you're more than welcome. Email Scott or I at planning@retailbycrs.com and say, hey guys, what's a good classification structure for my store? We'll spend 10 minutes on the phone together and send you, well, here's what we know is successful. Here's what's working today. Does this make sense to you? And now let's take a look at your POS and make sure it can do that. Most can. And then understand the implications of changing a class along the way. It's important to keep classes organized and clean. Don't muddy the waters. Don't change them along the way. Yeah.
I just wanted to jump in on this point of class as well, and something that just to kind of reiterate how important this is. One of the things I've noticed, and I know you have as well with so many of our retailers, is that when you start to truly look at your business by classification, you become so much more empowered to drive your business as opposed to being driven by your vendors. You know, so many times I've walked into retail stores where they are somewhat a slave to their vendors. They're being dictated to by their vendors. And I don't want to sound harsh in this way, but working by classification will empower you to be in control of the business, because that is truly the way people shop, not your vendor.
Yep, very good point. Buy with confidence. When you're out there in the marketplace, buy with confidence. Build budgets by class and allocate dollars to your vendors as they rank in your store for each season. So as they rank, it's important that we scrutinize, we analyze, we look at vendor performance. And we build budget based on class and then fit vendors into the class, not the other way around. Oh, I spend $30,000 a year with North Face. Now let's go figure out how to spend it. No. No, I spend $15,000 a year in down-filled jackets. I spend $10,000 a year in soft shell. I spend $10,000 a year in T-shirts. Now allocate it by vendor. See yourself as a personal buyer looking to fulfill your customers' predetermined wants and needs rather than your own. When you're at market, every time you buy something, here we are, we're on the cusp of market season. I think there's a market in Edmonton next week. Metro's the week after. Toronto's same week next week. Vegas just finished. You know, every time you buy something at market, you should put a customer's name to it. And it helps when you know your top 10. You know your customers. Oh, this is perfect for Sally. Remember that 6 out of 10 are the same: geo, demo, and psychographic. Educate yourself prior to every buying appointment. What is the trend in my store today? Not what's hot at the vendor. It's what's hot in my store. What's working really, really well. And it doesn't matter who the vendor is that's really well. It's the class. What about that sweater that's doing really well? Cut, style, size, color, fit. Figure out what's the trend in your store before you go and buy. And then be prepared for every buying opportunity. No sell-through by vendor, by class. So when you talk about a class and sell-through, the amount of goods bought in a period versus the amount of goods sold in the same period. If your sell-through is greater than 90%, you're not buying enough, regardless of what your inventory says. If you buy 1,000 in 90 days and you sell 950 in 90 days, you didn't buy enough. You missed an opportunity. And sell-through metrics, you know, it's very, very black and white. Of course, we want to sell through all of our seasonal goods. But if I buy $100,000 this year in lady sweaters and I sell $110,000, clearly I missed an opportunity. I sold more than I bought. Guys, we're retailers. We're, in fact, commodity retailers. We got to buy it to sell it. Go ahead.
No, and just really critically, Dan, like we, you know, in sell-through, we potentially walk customers to our competition.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh, yes. Yeah. And we don't always recognize that. You know, we have a vendor that's performing really well in T-shirts, and we don't buy enough for that vendor because we're over inventoried in T-shirts. But yet inside our T-shirt class, you know, we've got a really great, you know, graphic tee that's outperforming anything else, and we don't buy in it because we're over positioned in T-shirts. And you see, the way to grow these classifications is to know what the drivers are inside of them, either by style or by vendor, and feed those and lighten up on the things that aren't working. Utilizing a fail-fast mentality will drive business. It will make you look at your business differently. I can't tell you the number of stores I walk into, and I'm seeing end-of-season product. Now, here we are at the end of August. It's too late. It's too late. We are already into fall. We certainly need some buy now, wear now in our stores, but we're in fall. And we need to know what's going to drive business right now and all the way through October into holiday, regardless of how much inventory we have today. If we don't buy what the customer's looking for, we won't drive business. We'll buy some with markdowns for sure, but we all know what that costs us when you buy when you buy sales rather than earn them. And so step 8 is to create a rotation strategy in your store. Recognize that you have hot spots in your store and utilize this rotation strategy to take full advantage of the hot spots. When you find something that really, an area in the store that really doesn't matter what you put in there, it sells, take full advantage of it. Getting on a weekly rotation schedule or bi-weekly rotation schedule will help maintain your store's freshness. Everybody can understand, can appreciate this. We move our store around and a customer inevitably walks in and says, "Oh, this is great. When did you get it?" And you're afraid to say 6 months ago or embarrassed to say 6 months ago. They don't always see everything that's in our store. And by creating a rotation schedule, it maintains our store's freshness in our customers' eyes. They will respond with return trips. If every time they come in, it looks new, there's something new, they will come back over and over and over again. With a rotation strategy, stale product gets handled instead of forgotten about. Right? By forcing yourself to change your store around, no matter how big or how small your store is, changing the way it's displayed will mean that stale product gets handled. We move it. Product, price, placement. Product, placement, price, pardon me. It's the right product in the right place for the right price. It will sell. If it's not selling in your store, let's assume that product is off the table. You bought it. You're an accomplished buyer. You bought the right thing. Let's take product off. And now let's look at how it's displayed, the placement in the store, and change it. If it still doesn't sell, then start changing the price until it does sell. Product, placement, price. And then lastly, if you are lucky enough to have a window display, you need to change it regularly, not just to represent your store's assortment ability, but the seasons that we're in. Right? Bloomingdale's, Macy's, these guys were famous for their windows. People would line up to see the curtain drop on the next window display. The window display allows customers to envision themselves. It tells a great story. And window displays are most important when your store's not open. If you're lucky enough to be in an area that has traffic when your store is closed, don't know why a store would be closed with traffic, but let's say you're in a strip center, and there's food and beverage around you, people are in and out of your parking lot all the time. If you've got a window display, make sure it represents who and what you are. Step 9, for what it's worth. And so we need to maintain a strategy that places real value on inventory. And what I mean by real value is what the customer will pay for it. Not what you paid for it. Nobody cares. It's what the customer will pay for it. If you're using standard 2.2 or 2.3 markup, stop. Please, please, please stop. Put a real value on inventory. In some cases, you're giving money away. You're undervaluing your inventory. Place real value on inventory. What will my customer pay for this? And think in retail dollars, not cost. Nobody cares what you paid for something. Nobody cares what something costs, only what it will sell for. And you should think that way too. Never, ever, ever price something based on what you paid for it, but rather what she will pay for it. We leave money on the table all the time. Ask yourself regularly, what will she pay for this? I'll tell you a quick story. I used to be in the furniture business, and we would buy accessories by the $100,000. I mean, massive amounts of accessories would flow through our stores. And I would go to market and I would buy accessories, crazy accessories, lamps and tabletop and florals and plant stands and accessories, crazy. And they would come to the warehouse and we would have the warehouse staff unpack accessories and set them up on the racks in our warehouse. And then I would get the store managers, the merchandisers, the visual display people to come and price those products for me. I gave everybody, yellow or pink or green stickies and said, I just want you to go down this row and I want you to price this, Bailey Street, or I want you to price this Phillips lamps order for me. And I let the staff on the store price my goods. And it didn't matter what I paid for it. In some cases, I overpaid, and in lots of cases, I underpaid. They saw more value in it than a keystone markup, or, in the furniture world, we typically would get about a 2.3 or 2.4 time markup. And so by allowing them to put real value on it, they would ask themselves, well, what will the customer pay for this? I was buying lamps for $19 that they were pricing at $190. If I'd have used my standard markup, they'd have been priced on my floor at $49 instead of $190. Right? I gave money up by not putting real value on something, by using a standard markup. Remember that gross margin comes from selling goods, not pricing them. Doesn't matter how you price it. Your gross margin is obtained when you sell it. Who cares what initial markup? I mean, I care what initial markup is, but it's not about what you mark it up at. It's what you mark it down at, what you sell it at. And so finding that sweet spot in selling is where gross margin comes from. And avoid using standard markups. Ignore minimum advertised pricing in your store. Start inching prices up today, not down. Think in terms of the way customers think. Right? $19.99 to a female is $19. To a guy, it's $20. Don't price something lower than what you think you can achieve for it. If you move the average price point in your store up by $1 this year, can you go on vacation at the end of the year? By a single dollar. Can you move your prices north by $1? If you sell 2,500 items in a year, you just put $2,500 on the bottom line without changing anything. Inch prices up. And don't worry about what she is selling it for. Your competition, your online, who cares what they're selling it for? The customer's not in online, they're in your store right now. And I don't mean to say that like it doesn't matter. Of course it matters. But is $1 going to make a buying decision for them? Hey, it's $1 cheaper on Amazon. Look. Okay, well, give them the $1. Hold on to the customer. Most people don't care. There's a lot of examples where $10 doesn't matter. I'm only talking about $1 in a store that sells 2,500 items a year. Can you imagine what would happen if you started to inch prices up by 10% in your store, or 8%? Where does that 8% fall? And it doesn't have to be every item. You pick the items where you have more opportunity. See it for what it's worth. And lastly, when it comes to scotch, the older the better and the more we'll pay for it. That is not the case with inventory. The older it is, the less we pay for it. Bought inventory 2 weeks ago from somebody, paid 10 cents on the dollar for their inventory. Bought a whole whack of inventory from a retail store, paid 10 cents on the dollar. Didn't matter how old it was to me. I paid less for it, right? Kill the virus and prevent the disease. Understand or recognize that your inventory is truly a perishable item. Think of it as a banana. The browner that banana gets, the older that banana gets hanging on the shelf, the less value it has. And I get this argument all the time. Well, I'm this kind of store. I have this in stock all the time. It never changes. What do you mean it's perishable? It's always a white T-shirt. That's not true. You're holding on to a white T-shirt, this white T-shirt, for a year because you think someone's going to come in and buy it. Well, that white T-shirt should have came this month, not this year. Right? Turn inventory over as fast as you can in your store. Replenish those goods. We buy and sell bananas every day, right? But we always put yellow bananas on the shelf, never brown bananas. Unless you're my mom, then, brown bananas is a good thing. But, you're always buying in the grocery store the yellow fruit, not the brown fruit. It's still a banana. Turn it over and over and over in your store. right? Markdowns are an essential ingredient to maintaining a healthy inventory. Recognize the minute that something is wrong, mark it down and get it gone, right? It's a dog. Its job is to get gone. And so take a markdown on an item this is the whole fail fast mentality. Mark something down as soon as you recognize it's not going to sell at full price. Just mark it down and move on. And understand why you have the need for a markdown and take some preventative measures. Buy better or buy less. Why do I have markdowns? Because I waited too long to get out of this inventory. I bought too much of it. I bought the wrong inventory. I tell everyone they have this ABC strategy with their inventory every week. A, it's going to sell as priced in the next 10 days. B, I'm not sure. I might have to move it or discount it. C, what the heck was I thinking? When you open a box and you say to yourself, gosh, what was I thinking? Mark it down and get it gone. It's a mistake. When you recognize it when you open it, it's a mistake. Mark it down and get it gone. If you put it out on the floor, even for a week, and it doesn't get activity, mark it down and get it gone. Move on. Get away from it as fast as you can. That's what I mean about buying better or failing fast. I don't let things wait. If something doesn't sell in your first 3 months in your store, what makes you think it'll sell in the second 3 months? The obvious answer is it's seasonal. My obvious answer then, well, why did you buy it 3 months ago? If you didn't intend to sell it until January, why'd you land it in the store in October? Right? Understand why we need markdowns. And when you decide that something needs to be marked down, ignore standard discounting and ask yourself, what will the customer pay for this? Take the $100 shirt and ask yourself, what will she pay for this? If your answer is $25, don't mark it at $75 off. Mark it at $25. You can use the was and is. You can use some kind of discounting strategy in your store, but mark things for what they're worth. Mark them down for what the customer will pay for them and move on. And never, ever, ever think about what you paid for it. You are not losing money by selling something for less than what you paid for it. I'm going to say that again. You are not losing money for selling something for less than you paid for it. You lost the money when you bought the item. Your job now is to put money back in the bank. The money's gone. When you bought it, when you landed in the store, that money's gone. It's lost. And now you're doing everything you can to recover it. We don't measure gain or loss on an item in our store. We measure it on a class, on a vendor, on a department. Mark it down to get gone. Number 11, go for the win. This is so important. This goes back to the very first slide. Maintain win-win. Win-win relationships with your vendors. They are your partners. We need their support. They need our support. We want to establish and maintain win-win relationships. We want to make sure that we have a healthy vendor relationships right from the very beginning. Giving them what they need from us and asking them to give us what we need. Healthy relationships. The healthiest relationships in your lives are the ones that have open communication. Just like that, vendors should have open communication. Have healthy relationships with them. When you're in trouble, a good relationship will get you out of it. A bad relationship will get you further into trouble. Schedule regular visits with your vendors. Hey, I know you're coming to town for Trends next week. Do you want to stop by my store before you go in? No, you can't make it this week. Okay, great. I totally understand. I need you to put it on the calendar for when you come back in March. I want you to come into my store. I want you to drop in for a little wine and cheese party that I'm having on the Wednesday night before Trends. Celebrate your vendors. Establish sales and turn goals with each vendor and then measure it monthly. Establish what sales goals you're going to do with them. Don't go to market and buy without setting a goal. And a turn rate. Listen, I expect to get 2 turns out of my inventory. Or a margin rate or a profit goal. Establish it with each vendor and then measure it and communicate that. Hey, sales are tracking, sell-through's tracking at about 70%. Any suggestions on how to improve that? Can I do some returns, some swaps? Can you give me some markdown dollars? Have good open communication with your vendors and you're going to get a win. Celebrate them. They're your partners. Celebrate them just like you do your customers. Scott can share with you many, many, many examples where vendors get us out of trouble, where these reps get us out of trouble, not into trouble.
It truly is. It truly makes the difference. And I mean, even every day I talk about and work with retailers that are negotiating with their vendors and making a difference because they have that win-win relationship. You know, I find like the best retailers maintain the best relationships. You know, it's not the ones that fight and bitch and scrape to get what they want. It's the ones that understand that it's got to be both ways. It's got to be a three-way win. It's got to be a win for the vendor, a win for you, and a win for your customer.
Right on. Right on. Okay, the last one, step 12, cash is king. Doesn't matter what anybody says, cash is king. The definition of profitability in retail does not come from measuring MMU, NIBIT, EBITA. It comes from cash in the bank. And we have to understand what that driver cash can be for us or what it represents. And cash flow comes from us having the right inventory at the right time, turning over that inventory at a level that supports our expenses and grows profitable sales in every class. If we use cash as our pure measurement for performance of a classification, we can grow sales. If we use top line sales as our measurement, we often suffer. But if we use cash flow, you know, cash flow comes sales minus how much I pay out in inventory equals the money I have to operate my store. If that's what I focus on, buying better, buying at the right time in the right class, I will grow cash. If I can grow cash flow, I can grow top line revenue. Sales volume is a consequence. Yes, we set sales targets, but it's a consequential target. Comes from having cash.
So often, Dan, we get confused between profit or paper profit and what really is the most critical element of our business is cash. You know, we can sit and look at the end of the year and pat ourselves on the back for having a profit on paper, but we could be, you know, basically starving, basically not making our ends meet because we're not creating a flow of cash in the business.
Right. Right. You know what? And it happens in every business. I got a pat on the back from our controller because we had what looked like a great month. And I said, well, there's no cash in the bank. She's like, well, no, we bought all this inventory. Well, okay, but inventory is a perishable item. It's not an asset. It's a liability. I don't care what the income statement says. There's no cash in the bank. We bought more inventory than we had the ability to sell. Right? Even in my business, if I buy more than I have the ability to sell, I run out of cash. And cash is the measurement. If you go to the bank at the end of the year with a glowing profit statement and you have no cash, there's a good chance they're not lending you any money.
Yep.
You don't have cash. Totally. You're not liquid, right? Very few of us look at inventory like it's an asset on a balance sheet. It is not an asset. It's a liability. I just told you I bought inventory 2 weeks ago from a store for 10 cents on the dollar. You know, she represented her inventory at $60,000 to the bank and sold it for $6,000. She lost $55,000 in inventory or in cash. She lost it. Right? Cash flow is a representation of how well you buy your inventory. And it's the only measurement of success in retail. At the end of the day, all the dust settles. If we have cash in the bank, we're doing things right. If we don't have cash in the bank, we've got to improve. We've got to take this step towards improving the business. And I'll say this, when it comes to cash, you know, you need open to buy every month. And everyone will agree with me that you need. No one has ever said to me, you don't need open to buy in October. You need open to buy every month because there's something in your store that's trending up. And if you don't have the cash to feed it, you're going to ceiling those sales instead of busting through that ceiling. I worked with a retailer yesterday that showed me her income statement for the last 4 years, and her sales hasn't changed but by about 1%. And I said, are you happy with that? Yeah, she said, my business is flat. I'm like, man, I could never be happy if my business just stayed the same. I'm not taking advantage of opportunity. And when we dig down in, we find out that you've got 103% sell-through in 4 classifications. You've got 60% sell-through in 4 other classifications. You're overbuying in one and underbuying in another. And we pick on the inventory or the buyer. But guess who's losing out? The customer.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't satisfy her needs. We didn't satisfy what she wanted from us because we didn't have cash to feed it. And so open to buy. What do I mean by open to buy? Open to buy is planned sales plus planned markdowns, how much I'm going to mark down, plus whatever inventory I'm going to end the season, the week, the month at. I take away my beginning inventory and whatever I already have on order, and that equals open to buy. And so if we need $10,000 to come in this month and you have $5,000 on order, you've got $5,000 in open to buy in a class. I mean, the math can be that simple. And we're always working towards how much inventory do I want to end this month with or start next month with. And the beginning and end of a month for us is arbitrary. We've just decided that we're going to use August 31st as an important milestone in our life. Our customer, it doesn't mean jack. I don't care if it's August 30th or August 31st, And so it's important that when you're building up inventory to a beginning of month, you're following your season, your ebb and flow. We've created this milestone date, but it really is irrelevant. We're trying to roll inventory up and down, and we're feeding the store with open to buy, right? Open to buy or product already on order at one time was open to buy. We're using open to buy to feed that ebb and flow of inventory. We're going to peak inventory for fall in September, and we're going to valley our fall inventory in October, and we're going to peak holiday in November 1st, and we're going to valley it, December 15th. We're going to end, fall winter. We're going to start to valley that inventory in January because we know the peak for spring comes in the beginning of March, and the beginning might not be the 1st, it might be the 15th. Might be the 11th. We don't know. We're just going to try to ebb and flow that inventory. So we're rolling seasonal goods in and out of the store. And we do that by utilizing an open to buy strategy or having open to buy cash. I say open to buy, but I mean cash, right? At every given point in the month, you have to be able to put your hands on cash. And lastly, of course, I'm going to say this. Please, please, please start working with a merchandise plan that accurately forecasts demand. What your customers will spend, what you need to invest in inventory and open to buy and cash flow right now. If you're not working with a merchandise plan, start working with one. I'm not saying work with Dan or Scott or anybody else in the CRS team. I'm saying if you're not working with a merchandise plan, get on one. If you want to talk to somebody about it, we're here for you, but you need to be on a plan that accurately forecasts where sales are going on a monthly basis, not an annual basis. And so lastly, you can mark your calendars. We have 3 more sessions scheduled for this year. We're going to do a retail health assessment, a really great retailer self-assessment on September 28th. We're going to dig into what open to buy is and how to make it easier on October 26th. And we're going to do a sales training session on November 30th. So mark your calendars. We'll send you some notices along the way. But we've got 3 really great webinars coming up to finish off this calendar year. Thank you for joining us. If you have questions or feedback, want to see something else in a webinar, please fire an email to planning@retailbycrs.com, or you can always call 800-725-6810 and get extension 206. You'll come right to my desk. But fire an email with anything that you'd like to see coming up. Thank you again for joining us today. I've kind of gone over by a few minutes. Everyone will get a copy of this recorded presentation, so you'll have to listen to my stuffy voice for a little while longer if you relook. If any glitches, any hang-ups, just shoot me an email, and we'll go from there. Thank you again for joining us.
Thanks, folks.